starting. Again, we're back. Hello, welcome back to QR Coded Cozy Conversations with your two big sisters. I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel.
And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us once again. We hope you had an amazing Christmas and New Year and are getting some rest. Yeah. We're back.
I know. We're so excited to be back. But before we get into our episode for today, we wanted to take this moment to really just thank everyone for every single ounce of support that you've shown us after we dropped our intro episode. We don't take your kind words and support for granted. Truly, we were overwhelmed and we're still very overwhelmed from how supportive everyone has been and just like the overall responses that I've gotten individually, that you've gotten individually. Yeah. And it's just been really so heartwarming and just so amazing to know that people like us enough and care,
Yeah.
And it's just been great.
Yeah.
So thank you. Queen,
yes,
go ahead.
Thank you so much. I mean, you said it all.
Yeah.
It's one of the most nerve-wracking things we have ever done. Yeah. Like last Wednesday when we dropped that first the intro episode, I wanted to combust. I wanted to ship myself to another planet. But it honestly, I've never heard such kind words before in my life. And because it was such this is I was telling Raquel the other day,
mm-hmm.
this is our creative baby. This is our child. Yeah. And so it means the absolute world. We see you, you know who you are. Those of you who have truly just shown nothing but love and support throughout this time. We've had conversations with a lot of you and it really does mean the world. And it's cool to see people who who I don't know,
yeah.
kind of supporting the two of us.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So, those of you who are there, following, liking,
we see you,
reaching out, sweet messages too, and just in person too.
Mm-hmm.
It really does mean a lot. Yeah. And also, maybe you've noticed, if you're watching, if you're listening,
yeah.
we'll explain to you. Raquel and I are currently matching. This happens more often than not, actually.
This is true.
Unintentional matching, but this was very intentional.
This was intentional, yes.
We currently are wearing the cutest, sandy beige crew necks,
mm-hmm.
a vibe with our logo on them,
yeah.
and we have mugs in front of us,
yep. Also
with our logo.
Mm-hmm.
They are our aesthetic in its true form, and we just want to shout out Choco Bella Customs for creating these sweaters. So please check them out, support. They were gifted to us by our significant others for Christmas. It was a really cute surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I screamed a little. Is this a future merch idea?
I mean, it could be.
I would be down.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah.
Possible merch idea coming soon.
Choco Bella Customs, get ready.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll send you maybe a bulk order or something.
We'll see, but yeah, super cute. I love it.
Yeah.
I would wear this out.
Oh, heck yeah.
I can't say that for a lot of merch, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
So we're currently recording this right now before New Year's Eve, and you'll hear this the first week of 2023. Mm-hmm. So next Wednesday we'll be releasing this. This is our first official episode. Last Wednesday we dropped our intro episode. Mm-hmm. It's a weird time.
Yeah, it's safe to say that this time between Christmas and New Year's is always so strange for people. You never know what day of the week it is or what's really happening.
What your purpose in life is.
Who am I? What am I doing? Is today Sunday? Is it Saturday? What is it?
Yeah, every day feels like a Sunday.
Yeah, it feels like one of those two.
Yeah.
So really resting up is just key. Obviously, if you have work, that might not work out for you.
Hopefully you've gotten some nice days off. And
yeah.
I'm definitely grateful to have another week of break left.
Me too.
I was stressing out about not being off the week leading up to Christmas, but now that I look back on it, I'm kind of grateful for it because I feel because it was the week leading up to Christmas, I would have found a reason to be stressed if I was off of school. But now looking at it, I'm glad that I still have one more week, right? Yeah. New Year's Eve is tomorrow.
Yep.
We both still have one more week.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? She's a teacher, I'm a student, but
we have the same schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's kind
our
of
breaks are
it's convenient though. We got
cool.
to go to a coffee shop the other day. It was a
plan.
Tuesday. Was it a Tuesday?
See, I don't even know. It was
I don't know what day it was. It doesn't even matter.
We know it was Wednesday.
That's what's beautiful about it is it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
All right, you want to get into like
let's get into
what we're doing here this episode?
Let's do it. Okay, so this episode is actually going to be a bit different. We don't have a quote. Which, Queen's like, but wait. I know, we're straying off the mission and our purpose and whatever quoted.
It seems like we are,
but
we're not.
Okay, like just hear us out for a minute. I promise it's worth it, okay? We don't have a quote this time. We have words.
Yeah.
Okay? And we each have a word for you. And this was Queen's idea, so I'm going to let her explain. But yes, words, okay? Not a quote.
Each of us have one word for you today.
Yeah.
So I guess you can quote us, right? We're still staying true to what we're doing here. So this was my idea. I don't claim this idea because I found out about it like several years ago. I genuinely don't know like where I learned about this, but it was a word of the year project. And we'll talk about New Year's resolutions a bit more, but it's kind of like in place of New Year's resolutions or goals. So a few years ago, I started to choose a word of the year, right? Like this would be my focus word. It would be like the word that like I live by. It would cover a very specific like aspect of my life, but like also I try to pick a word that can kind of branch out and impact other aspects of life. I would stray from it, and I do stray from this word, and that's fine. We're human, right? I'm human. I'm not a machine. And like I, check in with myself. I'm like, hey, you're straying from this. Remember, like, you wanted to live by this, and this is something you wanted to accomplish. So I show myself grace, and then like get back to work, focusing on that word of the year. So it's been cool. I've also started to implement it in the classroom too, like at the beginning of the school year.
Nice.
I started it my first year when I was remote, and I checked in with the students at the end of the year, and I showed them all their word of the year, and I had them reflect on whether or not they like lived by it that school year, and like some of them like remember their word. Like I had them guess, like, do you remember what your word of the year was? And a lot of them remembered. Some of them were like, what? They probably had their camera turned off and had me muted, and but
Zoom University.
Oh, good times.
It was a fun time.
Not really.
No.
It was a lonely time for teaching, especially. But yeah, so word of the year. That's kind of like what I do in place of New Year's resolutions. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions a bit more. Like, I feel like there's so much pressure at the new year. Like, why do I have to come up with a list of 10 resolutions for one day? Like, not for one day, but
not even 10, like let alone one. Like, I think it's overwhelming.
There's so much pressure at the new year to change your life completely. And my whole thing is like, okay, great, you should have goals, you should have a growth mindset, but like, why does it have to be this one day where everything changes? Like, if I want to change something about my life in June, I will do it. I won't wait 6 months.
Until January the following year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I would agree. I don't think it's that serious at the same time. I don't want to make it seem like we're being like overly dramatic about a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
But I do also think that it is very pressuring for you to kind of just set this like bar for yourself. What was different between the December 31st versus January 1st, right? There's the day, right? And for you to just like come up with this like thing you want to change, which is fine, right? Like, if it works for some, we said, or it's whatever, and you set yourself goals, and it's great, right? But let's just say you make that resolution, or you say that saying, and what if you don't like live up to it, right? I would be kind of bothered. I'd be kind of hurt, and I don't want to feel that way because it's something that I said. Yeah. So, and I totally agree with the whole idea of, if I want to do something in June, I'm going to do it in June. Yeah. I don't want to have to wait. Right? Yeah. So I think that you're really limiting yourself, and you don't need to be.
Right.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I get the whole, like, it feels like a fresh start.
Yeah.
But, the same...
It can feel like a fresh start later, too.
Yeah. The same flaws and things you want to change that were there on December 31st are there on January 1st. So, and they're there for the rest of the year unless you make a change.
Unless you make the change.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that too.
I mean, you know, if it works for some, great. And I know, I'm sure it does. Like, I personally, for me, because I can only speak for myself, you can only speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's our take on it, because for us, it hasn't worked.
No.
I have made them. I can go back to old journals where I've literally written resolutions and I don't necessarily stick to them. But
I don't even remember them. So that goes to show that, like, they don't work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
So.
But we were like talking, like, where did resolutions even come from? So we did some research. I'm going to get into a little history 101 here. How credible is our source? I don't know. It's from history.com.
Hopefully credible.
Right? Just some fun facts.
Yeah.
So we're Assyrian.
Yep.
So we know and we understand, like, the significance of, like, the Assyrian New Year. We have that knowledge, but what we didn't know and what we found out with a little bit of digging, so our research all came from this one history.com article on the history of New Year's resolutions, that our people, our ancestors, our distant cousins, the ancient Babylonians, were the first people to have made New Year's resolutions about 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We were kind of shocked. We were like,
I was shook when I read that. I was like, who?
Yeah.
Us?
Yeah.
What? How, like, why?
And they weren't known as resolutions, right?
Yeah.
So for them, and we know this is something that, like, yes, we're familiar with, is the New Year began not in January, but, like, in the spring. This article specifically said mid-March. How accurate is that? We don't know. But the Akitu festival of the Babylonians occurs in the spring, and I'm quoting this from the article, marking the rebirth of nature, the reestablishment of the kingship by divine authority, and the securing of the life and destiny of the people for the coming year. So they would make promises to the pagan gods to, like, return things and, you know, return objects that they have borrowed. And these promises are now what is considered as, like, a New Year's resolution. And so if they kept their word, they would be rewarded by their pagan gods. And if they didn't, they'd be in some deep trouble. So there was a lot, it was like high stakes, right? And so I think it's cool to see, like, what it has evolved to. But this is a secular practice now. It's not related to religion and spirituality. It's, you know, who's holding you accountable? Yourself. And we're not the best at holding ourselves accountable as people. So I think that's probably why it has, you know, evolved into what it is today. So it's cool to find that out. Like, we knew the significance of, like, our Assyrian New Year, but we didn't know that, like, resolutions came from us too. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's interesting, the accountability. And that kind of just brings us to, like, our word of the year. It's daunting to have, like, for us personally, it's daunting to have these, like, big resolutions all starting on this one day when that's just not how life works. You know, a year is a long time. It feels like it goes by in a blink of an eye, but it is also a long time. There's a lot of room for growth, but you need to experience things and reflect on things to grow. So we're gonna get into our words of the year. I felt like it'd be cool to go over, like, my past words of the year just to get an idea. So, like, okay, what do you mean? What do you mean by this?
This is my first year doing this.
So for 2020, my word of the year was perspective. For 2021, my word of the year was build. And I've also, like, journaled on these two at the beginning of each year. And for 2022, this past year, my word was prioritize. And to kind of explain, like, I look back at the past year and look ahead to, like, what I know is coming the next year, and then I select my word of the year. So, like, this past year, I knew I was getting married. I knew my life was going to change so much. And I was like, I need to prioritize. I need to prioritize what's important for that time and kind of, like, take things one at a time. So that was my word of the year. And I do think, like, I did do a good job of do a good job of prioritizing what I needed to prioritize and kind of letting go of what I didn't need to and like revisiting things. So last year I also made a vision board of what I wanted to prioritize this past year. And it has been my lock screen on my iPad. And it served as like a nice visual reminder. So maybe we can make some just for fun. They're fun to make.
I can try.
Maybe you'll see them on the Instagram when we get this episode up. Maybe not. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I remember I texted you about this idea. You were down. So before we get into our word of the year, and we keep saying we're about to get into it. We'll get into it in a sec. Let's just recap 2022. What were your highlights? And then we'll give everyone our word of the year, and you guys can hold us accountable.
All right, I'll start. My highlights have a few. 2022 was like super fun for me, and it was a good year overall, I would say. I'll start off with I had a few like quick trips across the U.S. to like random like states and cities, and they were short. Some were longer than others, but still like very fun, and catching up with like my family in Arizona, and then a couple trips to Tennessee, Texas, Michigan, all like super fun and just like refreshing and just like so in the moment, and like it's just so nice, the adrenaline of traveling as well. Like,
it's the best.
Planning an airport outfit, you know, like, am I gonna take a tote bag? Am I gonna take a backpack? Like, what do I want to do? Like, do I want to stress out about a tote bag? I'd rather, you know, like those questions.
The backpack is your best bet, probably.
Right, going through security. What do I gotta do? Do I take my shoes off? Do I not? You know, all that stuff. It's fun for me. I love the airport.
Me too.
It's a fun part of traveling. Anyway, that's that. Also, I planned some events with your wedding happening. I was your maid of honor, so that came with a lot of like responsibility, but fun responsibilities.
The best. You, no one can top what you do.
Stop.
Yes, but I think it really just comes from like the love you put into it. Like,
thanks.
When you're planning something for the people you love, like you go above and beyond, and it shows. You made me cry.
That's sweet. Yeah, so plan her bridal shower is super fun. I've always had like an itch to like plan events and do stuff like that. So when it's for someone or something that I really, really love, I will put my heart into it. And it's so much fun for me.
It is,
like finding like something on Pinterest to like inspire me. I save it, and then if I have a vision, I just make it happen somewhere. You know, one way or another it happens. Going along with that, planning another event on a larger scale, not necessarily the same as like an event, not like a bridal shower or like a birthday party. It was a national like youth conference that our church hosts every year. This past year, I should say, 2022, it happened to be in Chicago. Over 600 members, largest it's ever been. And I was on the planning committee with Queen and a lot of other people, youth members of our church as well. And it was just huge for us to do that. And for us, it was so crazy to plan and just like live in it, and just like we were just running around the whole time. And we felt like super like on edge and like, you know, high stakes and everything, but to everyone else,
it was fine.
Oh my god, it was more than fine. It was
great.
It was like smooth sailing for everybody, and we were just like, what? Like, okay, like if you say so, great. But
behind the scenes is always a lot more chaotic. Yeah, I'm going to second that when I get to I'm not going to mention it, but because I don't want to repeat, that was definitely a highlight for me too. Being on the planning committee was an honor, and seeing it all come to life was also amazing. And
my last highlight has been in the recent months. So I would say like October to December. And it just goes to show, like we've been talking about earlier, that like if you want to make a change in June, you can, right? So this change happened for me, again, from October to December 2022, and I would say that it's just changed my whole mindset, and I've significantly just become like a more chill person, more intentional about where I'm pouring my emotions and my time into, and it's really just exuded this like sense of peace within myself and like others around me as well. And others have like vouched for this and like agreed, so that makes me like, okay, like this is like real. This is happening, right? And it's something I'm so proud of because I just feel better overall. And I'm typically like someone who's like super high stake, super anxious and like stressed, and like people have told me like, Raquel, I'm looking at you, I'm stressed. You know?
And I mean, growing up with you, I felt it. Like, if you're stressed out about something, like it rubs off sometimes.
And like,
which is fine. You're only human. Like, life can be stressful. But I have like felt a change in your energy over like the last half of this year.
Well,
yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, it took almost all of 22 for me to get here, but it's still a highlight of my entire year because I just want to keep doing that moving forward.
Question.
Yes.
Can you like
ask away?
Can you go back to like, was there a moment where you felt this change? Can you like dedicate it to a certain day or something that happened, a turning point, like, or is it just like it just changed?
I think it's just a change, honestly. I wish I could, and if it did, I would have gladly shared. But it wasn't something like, it wasn't a specific day or event or anything like that. I think it was just in general like something that I noticed in that time of my life. I don't know, maybe I was getting a better grip on school. School was going better for me. Like, I don't know. But other than that, I think an overall just shift.
Love that. Love it. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet with my highlights. Big one, getting married, but that's obvious. It was life-changing for the best.
I'm sure. Yes.
And so getting married, turning my first house into a home with my husband. I got to leave Europe, excuse me. I got to leave the country and actually go to Europe for the first time ever. I did leave Europe and came back home after my honeymoon. I loved it. I want to travel the whole world. We're already planning to go back to Europe. Summer of 2023. So
plan your airport outfit.
Oh yes. And every other outfit. And then I also think like this year, and maybe it had to do with like such a big life change, it really solidified like just how much love there is in my life. And like solidified like who that love is coming from and the sources of that love.
I love love.
Me too. So I think that was definitely a highlight. We've got some stuff going on behind the scenes. It's fine, we're here.
We made it.
Okay, let's get into our word of the year.
Finally.
Raquel, what's your word of the year?
My word is hustle. I'll be wrapping up my last year of my didactic coursework, which is this. Pharmacy school is a 4-year program. The first 3 years are didactic, meaning I'm taking exams, I'm learning, I'm in the classroom, I'm learning, right? And then my 4th year is me applying what I've learned in rotations.
In the field.
In the field. So the first half of 2023 is me finishing my didactic coursework because I'm done in May.
Nice.
And oh my gosh, I can't explain how ready I am for it to be over.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Oh yeah, I'm just so eager and I'm so ready to just hustle and get through it so I can prep for my rotations in the summer of 2024 and then graduation. Summer of 2023 and then graduation in the summer of 2024. Yes, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. But as I'm hustling, obviously I want to do so very humbly.
Yeah.
Humbling.
Yeah. Humbly. Yeah. Sounds kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's a humble hustle.
Yes. There we go. It's a humble hustle. Just want to make that clear. I don't want to sound like I'm just going off, but I want to do it in a humble way.
Go off.
But in a humble way.
In a humble way.
Yeah. So I'm so excited for what's to come, and I'm just ready to hustle.
Yeah.
That's my word. What's yours?
You do that.
Thanks.
Mine is nourish. Looking back at this past year, I feel like I just need to be better about nourishing myself, my physical self. And that doesn't just mean like I'm gonna go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. Renew my membership. Like
that never works. Not for me.
This means a lot of different things for me. And I stress that like for me. Like this is what it means for me.
Yes.
Everyone who I love, from my mother to my mother-in-law to my husband, remind me to take my vitamins, and I always forget. And so like I have actual deficiencies, and they impact, like I oftentimes feel very fatigued. Like and it goes back to like my vitamin deficiency. So I need to take my vitamins. I kind of need to like listen to my body more. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. I have a full day of teaching that is physically, mentally, emotionally, it drains you. You put your whole heart and soul into it. So sometimes I get sleepy at 8:30 p.m. and if I do, I should go to bed. I learned about this thing called like
8:30.
It happens. There's this thing called like revenge bedtime procrastination, and it's like you don't have that like you time, like me time during the day. So you're trying to make up for that. And so like even if I'm tired sometimes, I need to sleep, I don't, because I'm like, oh, I just want to scroll through TikTok a little bit more. I want to like read some more of this book, like whatever it may be. But like I just want to be able to like listen to my body more. If I'm tired, go to bed. And also like sometimes I don't pack myself a proper lunch, and it's just not sustainable with my job, getting up that early, coming home around 4 or 5. It's not sustainable. So I need to like feed myself more. And I do want to like move my body more. Like I want to get back into playing tennis and like going on walks, and yes, maybe going to the gym sometimes.
Good luck.
It feels great, and I know it's great. But I need to prioritize it some more. So yeah, nourishing my physical self.
Love it.
To wrap up, we wanted to read some excerpts from a really awesome collection of essays by the author Brianna Wiest. And it's called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. So one of the essays is how to actually change your life this year.
Very fitting.
So we both had like different excerpts from the essay that like really stood out to us. The intro to the essay reads, and that was what stood out to me. And I quote, "It's so easy to identify what's wrong on the outside and blame it for the feelings on the inside. Never is this so painfully clear as when the calendar is reset and we think we're offered a fresh slate and blank page. It's easy to think a different year is a different life away, but we carry ourselves and our baggage and our energies and our hang-ups and insecurities and hopes and mindsets into that glimmering, hopeful, fresh start, blank page new life. Our resolutions don't stick because you can't change the outside and expect a different inside. People want to change their lives, but they do not want to change themselves."
Yeah.
I loved that. Like, so powerful. And like when I read it, I was like, oh wow, that fits so well with like what we're talking about. So yeah, what was a quote that stood out to you?
My quote is, and I quote, "The things that torture us and the negative patterns that follow us and the reason we have to keep making the same resolutions year after year is that we are not making the shift. We are trying to shift other things."
So powerful.
Yeah. And it just really makes me think like you need to be that one to make the shift. Right?
It's so accurate. Like it all starts from within. Whether you want to write a list of 25 New Year's resolutions or come up with your own word of the year, it takes reflection, finding the areas for growth, and making adjustments within yourself. Because that's the only thing you can control is your own life.
Yeah.
You can't expect your life to change if you don't change your life.
One more time.
You can't expect your life to change if you don't change your life. So honestly, we just want to wrap it up right there. Again, we really, really are super grateful for everyone who has given us, their time of day. Like, we see you, we feel it, we feel the love, and we really, really thank you. And
we hope you stay.
Yes, keep listening, watching, and supporting when you can. We don't take it for granted. So I'm Queen.
And I'm Raquel.
And this is
QR Quoted.